We bought the cheapest Porsche 911 in the world.
And today we're finding out how wrecked it is.
So we've brought it to Porsche specialist Renn Works, and they're going to tell us if we got a good deal or not. Let's go. We are at Renn Works. Matt, would you like to tell us a little about what you guys do here?
We are a Porsche McLaren specialist. Been doing it a long time, about 30 years, repairing these cars. But I think this one may be a challenge for us.
Uh-oh.
Let's give it a check over and
Let's
see what it's all about, shall we?
We thought we'd kick off by showing Matt our medium rare interior in the hope that he'd tell us it would all be an easy fix.
That's pretty unbelievable. What happened?
So we think someone's vandalised it. There's a
Yep.
cut on the dash, on the seats, and obviously a fire inside.
But then also, we looked in the CD changer and there was some love romance CDs.
Oh, wow.
So I'm thinking, he's also been to Le Mans, he took a mistress abroad, wife found out.
Someone's very upset and there's a revenge attack. I mean, initially I sort of maybe looked at the door and thought, I wonder if something started there, but I mean, I've never seen it. I mean, there's no electrics here, the motor's further forward. I mean, this is obviously that's the main area, isn't it? There is a wiring harness. So that's coming all the way up from the front of the car. I mean, look, you can see you've got a cluster of, there must be 100 wires in this loom. So I mean, you're not going to...
It's just like an afternoon of wiring.
You're not going to cut and solder them.
No?
Looking at this.
Let's see about that.
Does that run to the ECU or into the engine?
Yeah, so that's going to
compartment?
be, you've got your ECUs behind the seat,
Right.
at the back. So you've got control units. Then from the ECU, you've got all your wiring harness that runs up to the engine. So basically, this is all the wiring for the back end of the car.
Everything.
It's going to the ECU. You've got your lights. You've got everything up the back.
So off the bat, first part we need is a full main loom.
Yeah. Have you tried to crank
We
the
tried
engine, but
cranking
nothing?
Nothing. You
Just-
were in the
just
car.
fans.
Just fans, and there's a little crackle of something, right?
Yeah, the speakers crackle and the
Okay.
fans come on.
I mean, you can feel the heat that's been generated in here. Even you touch the sort of face of the
is it
dials
warped?
and they're all warped.
Oh God. So essentially we need a full new interior for this to be nice.
Yeah.
To be fair, this side is already partially stripped by the fire, so we've got a good idea of what goes on this side of it. So initial impressions, what do you think?
I mean, look, it's actually a really nice looking car.
And with an aero pack, right?
Aero kit. So, I mean, this was a really good looking car before, obviously, this happened. But it still does look good.
Most modern cars have an electric throttle pedal, but our very early 996 has a physical throttle cable. So we asked Matt if it would have any limitations.
It does stop you from doing certain aspects of tuning because
Okay.
you've got sort of throttle body upgrades and things like that that you can't really do with the cable throttle. However, for the purists, the cable throttle car is the one to go for.
So this is worth more.
I mean, yeah, the really early ones, it could potentially be. It could be.
So we've made
It
money
could be.
already, which brings us on to a good point.
Yeah.
What would you pay for this car?
You've got a real spend to get it back on the road, but still, look, in its component parts, you've got good wheels, there's good body panels, $5 grand.
Very good.
Yeah.
We paid $5 grand for a car.
There you go, that's it.
Before we carry on looking at this cheap Porsche 911, we want to take a moment to say thanks to this week's sponsor, Car Vertical. Every day, hundreds of cars get crashed and they go back on the road without anyone knowing. With a Car Vertical check, you can find out that history.
All you need to do is enter your VIN or your registration number and you can find out if a car's been crashed, stolen or clocked.
Thankfully, this week we got loaned a tow car to bring the Porsche to Renn Works. We've got Big Pete, and he's got green ticks for mileage, finance, and damage.
Whereas if you look at this F430 Spider, you can see it's got an amber warning for damage. And if you scroll down, it's got photos of the damage. And you can see that just like our 911, it's bringing a pretty bad fire. Look at that, there's probably wiring there that you're gonna have to deal with. So that means if you see this car come up for sale looking pristine, you know that this car has had a dodgy past.
So to make sure that the car you're buying hasn't been crashed, stolen, or clocked, run a Car Vertical check and have the peace of mind that the history matches the price.
And just to sweeten the deal, Car Vertical have given you 20% off using code TDC.
Thanks, Car Vertical.
Matt, absolutely over the moon with our purchase, we headed around the back to take a look in the engine bay.
Definitely silver. So they've painted sort of into the shuts, haven't they? Obviously the engine didn't come out to have the paintwork. But no, look, so it's an early cable throttle car, definitely. There's your throttle body.
So with it being a cable throttle, does that maybe make the loom harder to come by?
I'd need to double check part numbers, but I'm pretty certain that you'd find that you'd have a wiring loom sort of up to 99 and a different wiring loom from 99 on because there are differences in the car. So that main harness probably would change.
So we need an early car loom. Uh-oh. Do you have a rough idea of what it would cost from Porsche for a loom?
Do you know what? It's not something I've never had to fit a new loom, so it's, yeah.
And you've been doing this 30 years?
I've been doing it for 30 years, yeah.
Oh no.
Our £5,000 911 was looking not so bad, but we know that these 996s can suffer with a couple of nasty engine issues. Bore scoring, where the engine eats the walls of its cylinders, and IMS bearing failure. The IMS issue is the most common. The intermediate shaft is meant to improve timing chain life, but a badly designed ball bearing on one side means that they fail catastrophically.
I mean, bore score with a 3.4 is almost, it just doesn't really happen. It's usually 3.6.
Okay, we're looking up.
IMS, this will be a dual row car because it's an early one. However, I've seen probably an even failure rate with single row and dual row, because one of the rows in the dual row bearing starts to fail. It just spews all of its muck and all of its debris into the other row of the bearings. But again, it's not massively common.
It might have been done, we have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, you won't know unless you've got some sort of evidence of service history, which I'm not sure if you have.
No. If we were to do it, never having done it before, how many hours?
A couple of days you should be getting it done. Maybe a week, I don't know.
It's going up. Maybe a year.
Pencil in a month, it'll be fine. Maybe he set fire to it because he didn't want to do the IMS.
That's it.
He was like, I've found out how long it's going to take. I'm just going to set fire to it.
Or maybe the IMS, maybe it failed, and that was, I've taken the cap off the coolant reservoir. Okay. Look, it's got lovely pink, clean coolant, which is lovely because that 3.4s can crack cylinder heads.
Okay.
It's not particularly common, and then you get the oil and water mixes, and you end up with like milkshake. And even if it's been repaired previously, sometimes you can end up with some remnants on the cap, and that's clean.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
That's good.
Good sign.
Yeah. Have you dipped the oil?
It has some.
And the texture is like some.
Yep.
It was more golden before.
That's pretty good.
Still good.
Smith. Yeah, it doesn't smell too bad.
What vintage?
That's it. Well, I think it's Mobile.
Oh,
yeah, could be.
Perhaps a 2020.
Who knows? But no, that's actually they're two really good signs.
Okay, that's good.
You've got clean oil, and the coolant is looking good.
It's going to make it even more disappointing when we try and start it and the IMS has exploded.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't. No, that owner wouldn't do that.
No,
he's not that guy.
Yeah,
not
he's
with the
love
songs.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah. So our engine was sounding sort of promising, but we were yet to find out if the engine was seized or not. But before we got to that, we checked out the suspension.
Oh, well, straight away spotted something really nice. So we've got brand new front springs.
Lovely.
New top mounts, and it looks like it's probably got new dampers as well. So that's really good.
So if we were to switch to coilovers, do you reckon we could sell those for
100%? 100%. They look almost unused, don't they? Look.
So we'll sell them to you for $5,000.
There you go.
Yeah. Deal. Sold.
Yeah.
Phil, we're coming for you.
It turns out that our guess wasn't that far off. We had a look online and found that even using non-genuine parts, a new set of dampers came to over £3,000.
Brakes are going to need to be sorted. They're too far gone. They're really rusty, but the caliper's looking decent nick.
This was someone's pride and joy. Like, they put time and money into this. It's not a car that they left sitting around.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's sad. Is it identical to a GT3 kit?
Yeah, Mark 1 GT3 bumpers and spoiler and side skirts.
There you go. Oh.
Yeah. You'd often find that you get aero kit and you'd sometimes get a limited slip diff and a few other little trick bits with the aero kit cars.
That'd be handy.
That'd be nice to see. We'll be able to see all of that when we have a little look at the spec. So
that's a silver bumper under there.
That is a silver bumper under there. Good spot, Will.
Again, there's no real evidence of any corrosion to the rear quarters, or so. It looks like a good solid car.
What's happened? Yeah. We've potentially bought a good car.
Ignoring some of the major issues, everything else is.
But like some of the issues that we knew about, I knew about going in, everything else, usually I roll the dice and it comes out bad. It lands on snake eyes and I go to jail. But this time, kind of looks good.
Genuinely shocked that Edwin might have bought a good car, it was time to get the 911 in the air and have a look underneath.
It's got a worn out limited slip.
So hold on, we have an LSD?
Well...
Maybe we have an LSD.
The limited slip diff is something we didn't expect this car to have. It'll be so useful for putting power down to the ground, and it'll give us an advantage on the track. And also, it's quite useful for skids.
Headlar arms, they're either genuine or they're as good as. So someone spent some money on this.
I don't know how this has happened.
Also, still got all of its under trays.
Yeah, all the bolts seem to be still in and everything.
All of its clips. Nothing's been grounded out or broken or snapped. A little bit of surface corrosion.
I wonder if that's where it might have been picked up on the forklift.
Yeah, maybe. But look, it's nothing major whatsoever. It's had some brake pipes changed, maybe not to the best standard. They're a bit wibbly wobbly. They're not, we could make a neater job of those.
And as far as you can see, no fire damage that looks like it's transferred through underneath.
Not really. Maybe Look, I think we've had a little bit of heat going on here, possibly. I think you've been quite lucky there. All the floor pan looks good.
Almost feels bad at this point. Before it was like, we can do whatever we want to this car. It's only going up from here, but this car's actually quite nice.
Someone's actually looked
A
after
little
it.
bit scabby at the back. These little diagonal cross braces, again, they're quite cheap and easy to replace. Because they look worse than what they are, so they could do with being replaced. It's had some arms, definitely had dampers. But we had rear toe arms as well. They look a bit powdery and a bit rough. Look, the bushes are like brand new. This is all very, very recent. Just before it had its fire, they were done. Looks like it's had a new clutch line up there. That all looks nice and shiny and new. Obviously the gearbox is dry. You've got no sort of leaks from the box. It's had some exhaust silencers. They're an aftermarket product. In fact, I know the brand. They're not my preferred brand.
Okay.
They do suffer, these particular ones, with the flexi joints cracking.
Right.
And also the boxes distort.
Are they aftermarket as in louder?
They will be louder.
Well, that was kind of down the line, but we would like an exhaust on this at some point.
It's had the manifolds off at some point because we often find that all these manifold bolts are really heavily seized and they're a real pain to get them off. When they often snap. So whether it's had some engine work maybe.
Perhaps there's a 4 litre?
Perhaps a little IMS.
But they look pretty fresh. You can tell it's an early car because it's got an early style sump. So they're slightly different, they're slightly flatter. So as the car's got newer, they sort of reinforce the sumps with some extra webbing around the edges. But no, all in all, it's not looking too awful. If it hadn't obviously been fire damaged and it was a running car and it came in for a service, we wouldn't be ripping it to pieces. You can tell that it's been sitting for a few years.
To reiterate, £5,000.
All it needs is a bit of wiring.
All it needs is the whole interior moving.
But this is looking good.
But at least we're qualified for doing that.
I have done lots of that.
I've maybe held soldering iron before.
I've done up to no looms.
So perfect.
Oh, you've got your work cut out, honestly.
Oh, God.
You really have.
Oh no.
So I think let's get a ratchet on the crankshaft and
See if it
we'll
turns.
see if it turns, yeah, definitely.
This is actually looking quite good. I'm feeling a bit more hopeful about this.
I'm excited.
Problem is I've now got like mods in my head.
I've pictured this car in 1,000 different ways.
The wiring looms, secondary.
I could do wheels and coils to this tomorrow and then be like, yeah, it doesn't start there.
This is Flintstone's car.
But the easiest way to access the crank is to just pull the airbox out.
off.
Yeah.
Okay, that pops off. That pops off. Oh, good thing we've got it on film. I was trying to learn it, forgetting that Ben's literally filming this right now.
Well, we're filming this whole thing.
Yeah, what?
That's wild.
Who's this guy?
Who the hell?
That is easy.
That's it. That's as easy as that.
That's completely changed my perception of this engine now.
There you go.
It's not that cramped. I mean, it's cramped, but, you know, compared to before.
It's pretty stiff, but
Yeah, look at it.
Here we go.
yep, it's got good.
I was going to say, maybe it's got
Good
the
compression.
best compression in the world.
There you go. So look, the engine turns. I'm really confident that there's going to be no issues with that engine running. The oil looks good, the coolant looks good, and it turns over. So
Do we just take a punt and go without doing the IMS because we think it might have been done? Because then that means we can start modifying it sooner. Exactly. I like that.
I mean, I would just focus on getting the wiring sorted,
Well,
and just getting it running.
Yeah.
And then at that point, once you know it runs and it all sounds happy, then you can start modifying and tuning and pulling gearboxes out and looking at IMSs.
I think we've stumbled on a little bargain.
Oh, hell yes.
I mean, look, you've
Hell
definitely got your work cut out.
Yeah, well, you
But
know,
look, it'll be a fun project.
One last question.
Yeah.
Who do you think got better value for money? Us or Alex on his 993?
Oh wow, I don't want to upset anyone here.
You're allowed to upset everyone.
I mean, look, $5,000.
So you're saying we got better deals?
I'm not saying anything.
That's fine. I'll go home happy.
There you go.
While Matt went to have a look at the cost of a new wiring loom, we had a look at the official spec sheet of our car, which details every single optional extra which the guys at Renn Works had kindly found for us.
Spec sheet, you have it.
The spec sheet.
Let's see. Exterior colour, X1. Right, well, hopefully that means white, but I don't think so.
Of course it does. Automatic limited slip differential.
Oh, that's sick.
Ooh.
On the build sheet.
Locking differential 40%.
So good.
All right, next page.
What else we got? Fog lights white. Maybe they mean the whole car.
18-inch Sport Classic wheel, so that's the original wheel.
That's correct.
So they're the original
Yeah,
ones.
those are the original wheels.
Exterior colour.
That's not the colour that this car is.
Silver. You know, sometimes manufacturers say silver, but like
They mean white. Yeah. Or I think it's also the light. You guys can't really see it, but when you look at it, it's, you know, it's...
It's a deep metallic silver.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
But the diff is cool.
The diff is
The
very
diff
cool.
is cool. This is useful.
Shall we go in and see what Matt has totaled up for our cost? Because that's the biggest issue so far.
Yeah, I don't want to, but let's.
This is all the details of your car. So these are the part of the wiring of the car. So this one, number one, if we double click that, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
It is a bit of a shocker. And that's plus VAT as well.
That's more than we paid for.
So that's £6,294 for 55p plus the VAT. You're probably going to be better off to try and find a used loom.
Yeah.
Either a complete loom or a section, because you know at the end of the day they're only wires. You can if there's 100 wires in there, they can all be cut and soldered professionally and
I like
properly.
that. I like that way of thinking. At the end of the day, they're only wires.
That's better than that. When the parts start costing more than the car,
that's an issue.
maybe it comes with a car.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Maybe
it.
it comes with a 996.
It's just a used 996.
Yeah, it's actually like 300 quid.
That's what when you ring up and ask the partner, but they go, yeah, it's about 6 to 8 grand. You go, okay, when I can pick it up? And they're like, just go on Auto Trader, mate.
Yeah,
There are loads of them. You can just pick one up. I started off low, we went high, but I'm maintaining a good amount. Like this is put a dent in it, but I'm happy.
There's possibilities. There's alternatives to that. It's just a big job, and we need to get stuck into it now, basically.
Either way, thank you very much for having a look through it.
No problem.
If you guys have anything Porsche, anything McLaren, come to Matt, come to Renn Works. He will help you out as he has helped us.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem at all.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you
problem
very
at all.
much.
Yeah,
Cheers,
good.
thank you.
All right, cool.
Right, let's get this thing loaded up.